As you recall in the previous training video, anytime I wanted to open up a file, folder, or program here on my desktop, all I had to do was give it a double click. For example, if I come up here and double click on the computer, it opens up the computer folder in a window here and shows the contents of it down below, the least of which is my main hard drive, my C drive. If I double click on that, it opens up and shows the contents of the C drive, all the subfolders and files, and if I double click on one of the subfolders, I get more subfolders, and so on. If I want to get back out of here, I can come up and hit the back arrow a couple of times until I'm back to where I started in the computer folder. And you'll notice that anytime I double click on a subfolder, a folder within a folder, it opens up that subfolder and shows the contents of it within the same window. Well, what if I don't want to open up the C drive here in the same window, but have it open up in a new and separate window? Maybe I want to be able to compare the contents of the C drive over here against the contents of the computer folder here. So to open up a subfolder in a new window and not in the same window, just go ahead and hold down the Control key on the keyboard. It's in the lower left-hand corner, spelled CTRL. Hold it down and then go ahead and double click on the subfolder. In this case it's going to be the C drive. Double click on it. Well, you may have to do it twice. Double click on it again and it opens up in a new separate window. So I have the contents of the C drive here in this window, and then behind it I have the original folder, the computer folder, but I can't see it because this window is stacked or laying on top of it. So what I can do if I want to be able to compare them, I can move them so they can be side by side. To do that, just come up here in the first window, click on the header bar somewhere up here, click on it and move your mouse and drag the window over to the right a little bit, then come over here and click on that window to make it active, and then go ahead and click and drag its header bar so the window follows, and move it so it's side by side. Now I want you to notice of these two windows here, this one's one shade of color and this one's a lighter shade. The darker shade here, or the colored one, is the active window. That means it's the window that I'm currently working in, or that I could work in. So if I come over here and I want to work in this window, I'd have to click on it to make it active, and then I can go ahead and double click on its subfolders, open up files, and so on. Now this training video is about the taskbar, and the taskbar is down below, and I want you to notice that for every file, folder, or program that you have open here on your desktop, down below you're going to have a corresponding button related to that window. So for example, I have the C drive window open. Down below on the taskbar I have the C drive button right there, and then I have the computer window open, and down below I have its corresponding button. Now looking down here on the taskbar of these buttons here, which one is the active window or the active button? It's the C drive. If I come over here and click on the computer, notice down here on the taskbar the computer button is highlighted or lighter color. First of all, why do they call these buttons? And second of all, what's the purpose of these buttons here for every corresponding window, file, or program that I have open up at the top on my desktop? Well, let me show you. For example, if I come up here and I click and drag the header and move the window over and stack it right on top of the other so I can't see it, well, if I can't see it, I can't click on it and make it active. But I know that that window's open because down here on the taskbar, I have its corresponding button for that window, the C drive. So if I want to be able to see the C drive window, I can just come down here and click on its corresponding button. Click on it, and watch. It takes the C drive and brings it to the front and lays it on top or over any other window. And if I want to bring the computer window to the front, click on that, and it brings it to the front. You see, these act just like buttons. You click on it, and it pulls that window to the front, so I can view the contents within. Why do I want to do that? Well, maybe I have a bunch of windows open over here and they're stacked and I can't see them because over here I'm working on something else. The nice thing about that is that I can work over here, and then when I need to reference something I can just click on its corresponding button and it will bring it to the front so I can see it on top here, and leave the other windows open and just pull them to the front as needed by again clicking on the corresponding buttons down below on the taskbar. Now, a cool thing about having buttons down here on the taskbar, aside from clicking on them when you lose a window and you want to bring it to the front, is that you can hover over one of the buttons and it brings up above a little preview of the window that you have open up on the desktop. So here's a little thumbnail preview of the computer window just above the computer button here. When I move my mouse off, it collapses. When I move over it or hover over it, it brings it back up. Now, why is it when I hover over the computer button, it not only brings up above the computer window, but also the C drive window, as opposed to hovering over the Word document and it just brings up the thumbnail for the Word document? Well, the reason why is that these two buttons are related in that they're both folders. as opposed to the Word document, it's not a folder. But if I had 5 Word documents opened, I just have to hover over one of the Word document buttons on the taskbar, and it will bring up all 5 thumbnail previews for all open Word documents, or those 5. Okay, another cool thing about the thumbnail preview, I want you to notice that up here I've got my C drive window on top of my computer window. See, there's the C drive, and behind it is my computer window. In fact, if I click on computer, now the computer's on top. But let's say that I want to be able to see the window behind it without bringing other windows up to the front. I like the windows where they're at. I don't want to move them or move one to the front ahead of another. What I can do is I can be like Superman, and I can see through this window and be able to peek through and see the C drive behind it by coming down here and hovering over the C drive button, and then watch what happens up above that computer window when I come up here and hover over the C drive. You see the C drive is now there. When I hover off, the computer comes back up. So come down on the C drive, go up and hover over the C thumbnail. I can now see the C drive window there temporarily. That's called an application peek. You're playing peekaboo. So if you want to be able to peek through to just a single window that you have open on your desktop, just go ahead and hover over the thumbnail, and everything else on your desktop, whatever you have open, will become transparent or invisible, so you can just see through and peek through to that one thumbnail that you have your mouse hovering over with in the thumbnail preview here, okay? And I can move off and everything's back to normal. And then of course if I decide to, so my computer's still on top, if I come back down here on the C drive and come up and I hover and I go, you know what, I really want the C drive to be on top here, go ahead and click on the thumbnail and it will bring it up, just as if you were coming down here and clicking on the actual button, okay? I'm going to go ahead and close out of these open windows by clicking on their X here, closing out of that one. And finally, I want to talk about these icons over to the right side of the taskbar. They're called status icons. The first one I come to is that little triangle pointing upwards, and it says Show Hidden Icons when I hover over it. When I click on it, it opens up above and shows all the programs that are currently running in the background of my computer. Well, first of all, why do I have programs running when I didn't open them? And second of all, why in the background? Well, first of all, if you come up here and you hover over one of the programs, this one's my antivirus program. Well, I definitely want that running, because if my computer gets infected by a virus, I want that to go out and kill it and make sure it doesn't destroy my computer. Second of all, I want it running in the background because I don't need to see it destroying the virus. I just need to know that it's silently working behind the scenes. I don't need it up front here on my desktop, getting in the way of my other programs or applications that I'm working on. So it's a good thing. Again, click on that little triangle. It'll show you all the programs that are currently running in the background. Next, that little flag there is the Action Center. When you click on it, it may list some actions that you need to perform in order to help keep your computer running smooth and efficient. For example, it may want you to start implementing a backup program, in which case it'll go ahead and it'll say, are you backing up? If not, then go ahead and click on this link and I'll show you how to back up your computer. Let me go ahead and click off in a blank area to collapse that. Both your startup programs here and the Action Center we're going to cover in a later training video on how to customize those. So if you want to disable these startup programs so they don't come on every time you start your computer, and you want to be able to take care of some of the messages you get in the Action Center, we'll keep that in a separate training video here on customizing your taskbar, but for right now I want to introduce them to you. Next, you have your volume for your speakers. When you click on it, is it turned way up, way low? Is it muted? We'll go ahead and click on it to unmute it. Click off in a blank area. Then you have your network or internet access icon, the status of it. If it's having trouble, it'll give you a little yield sign here that you can click on and read more about it. Let me click off in a blank area. And then to the right of that, you have your clock. If it's not the right time or the right date, when you hover over it, it brings up a little date. Go ahead and click on it, and then come up here in that open window and click on Change Date and Time Settings. Opens up another window. Now look at your time zone. Is that the correct time zone, Mountain Time? If not, click on Change Time Zone. Click on the drop-down arrow, choose your time zone. I already set mine, so I'm going to click off in a blank area. You'd click OK. I'd click Cancel. And then to change the time, go ahead and click on Change Date and Time. Go ahead and select the correct date. And then after that, to change the time, you can either click and change the second, the minute, or the hour. I wouldn't recommend the seconds. It keeps moving. So if you want to change the hour, click so your cursor is flashing in the hour field, and then hit your up or down arrow buttons here so you can go back to 7 or up to 8, whatever the time is. And then when you're finished, go ahead and click OK. I'm going to click Cancel. You go ahead and click OK again. I'll click Cancel. and then you have your correct date and time. And then finally, you see that little vertical rectangle at the end of the taskbar? That one has two features to it. It'll actually show your desktop or peek through to your desktop, and I'm going to keep that for the next training video. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.